And we are back yet again for another chapter of Raincode. Chapter 3.
Because it's part 4.
Part 4. Of course, it's confusing because it started at part 0.
Yeah, because there had to be a chapter 0. Not my decision.
Maybe I should just write the chapter. I'm doing that.
I think.
For next time. I think we have 2 left after this one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2.
John would know.
It's
Nice.
like Danganronpa, there's
time.
6 cases.
Real time change. And
There we go.
I will say, after chapter 3, I still contend chapter 0 was the most complicated and fleshed out, and in some ways, the hardest from a Mystery Labyrinth perspective. Not the mechanics. The mechanics have attempted to ramp up difficulty, but in terms of like figuring out what's going on.
In terms of what actually happened.
And in fact, I don't know that this is the right place to start, but I'll start here. For chapter 3, in some ways it felt very straightforward. However, the motive in the end was so straightforward, I did not. It was so, like, just petty crime being in the motive was like, yeah, that's not what I was looking for.
I did not see that petty bank robbery crime as the final ending of it. Maybe maybe like a mix of ideas to radicalize the resistance or not.
When they seeded that safe, I had a big feeling what was going on.
The floating one?
Well, when they seeded the safe, when they first mentioned about, it's a time delay safe, I'm thinking, is this a heist?
Yeah, my mind didn't go there.
I knew that when they introduced the safe, I was like, all right, you need 5 minutes in order to open up the safe. So that's going to be a solution key during the labyrinth. Turns out it was not at all part of that.
In fact, it wasn't even the 5-minute part. Was that even a solution key?
Nope, it wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It had nothing to do with that. However, the safes did float, so...
I had to take a very large suspension of disbelief on a floating safe.
Well, airtight, that was one of the key things.
Heavy
It's
metal
airtight.
safes that float. No matter how much air it's got inside, what kind of buoyancy
It's not
is
gonna
that?
float.
Well, it's a volume thing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if a safe is like, let's say it's as big as your desk, is the buoyancy of the air inside of that, well, you would know better than anyone. It's the buoyancy of the air inside that... Well, never mind. You're the engineer.
Probably not. Yeah, I'm an electrical engineer. Forget about it.
Good point. Never mind. It doesn't seem like there would be enough buoyancy to float something that's a heavy safe. Made out of metal.
Yeah. I mean, there's fortes and everything too, so you know.
Sure.
Yeah, Forte.
This is this is not the hill I want to die on. But
Yeah.
I just heard it when they were like, oh no, that safe is floating because there's air in it. I'm like, could we think of a different contrivance, please?
I'm with John.
It's super light density air.
Yeah.
It's actually filled with helium.
There you go.
The metal is super strong, but super light. Could be.
Now, did you think that there would be 2 people that we would have to boom kill at the end? Or just 1?
Just one.
I thought it was going to be 2.
Understandably, considering that the one got coerced.
Yeah, well, this one logistically, 'cause at the end of 2, all 3 of them conspired to kill them. So we killed all 3 of them. This one tells you that an unwitting accomplice is not deemed guilty in the eyes of the Mystery Labyrinth.
Actually, that's an interesting point that I did not necessarily pick up on, because in the chapter 1, there were two people, right? There was the priest and the worshiper both got found guilty. I'll say,
and both had
punished.
premeditated murder. So
They were both
of them had
murderers.
their-
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the time for me to bring up my thought process on all this.
Yeah.
I felt like this case was out of order, that it should have been earlier.
Yes,
From a storytelling standpoint.
It was a much simpler case.
Yeah, I
If
feel
that's
like
what you mean.
could have swapped it with the school and had the school be the third case. I just feel like that would have been. I wasn't feeling it. Like it was anticlimactic after what we had just been through.
Anticlimactic because it was a heist.
Yeah, because it was so simple and straightforward. We've already kind of gone past that. So I understand it's trying to make it unpredictable, but it didn't feel right for me storytelling wise. It just felt out of order.
Well,
I also-
gameplay wise, I would agree that this should be chapter 3 after the academy, because throughout the whole entire chapter, you're doing those real time action events. This was real time. Hey, get that WASD ready. You're pressing buttons every part of this mission.
Right, but story wise, like that mechanics, just like I felt like the way they constructed the story, it would have been better as an earlier storyline.
I almost feel like they had to put it here because they had that soft reset of, killing everyone off.
Right, maybe that was it.
And now this is leading up into, Amaterasu is really messed up.
Mm.
Well, I don't know. I mean, how so messed up? Because I feel like in some ways what they were going for in this chapter was introduce the idea of the resistance, right? Throw in kind of a third faction as a wild card.
What
right?
resistance?
No,
So the important parts in terms of the narrative and in terms of what's going on are at the very beginning when you meet Makoto, and at the very end when you find out what Makoto is doing, why he needs you, and sort of the larger machinations going on in play. Everything between those 2 points was pointless gimmicks, and that's why it felt useless.
Yep.
Ah,
oh,
Okay.
that's a good point. Yeah,
It was all distraction.
It was a distraction.
Although the internal struggle to Amaterasu, which was alluded to earlier than this chapter,
Yes.
like
But now
I
you
said,
see it.
The whole right, you see it starting to play out, but there's also the, like I said, TBD whether or not the resistance will have any. I mean, their leader is now dead, so
Well, logistically, at this point, I'm not going to confirm or deny if the resistance comes back. What I will say is that at this point, the resistance leader is the guy in charge of everything is dead. One of the remaining 3 is also dead. And Shachi had mentioned that everybody in that room was indispensable to the resistance. And also the third one is now in a peacekeeper jail cell.
And you have the old man who has, who's totally demoralized.
so a question that I
It's just a crazy gun chick.
Yeah, where's the crazy gun chick out of all this?
What's going on?
crazy.
nothing.
I saw your hand go from one side of the screen to the other.
Because there's such a weird delay. Oh my goodness, look at that.
You can see how it is, right? It reaches all the way
Yeah.
across. I love
He's
it.
invested.
T-pose for dominance over there.
yeah.
It's a long arm.
Gun chick's still around.
Oh yeah, and she wants to use you for target practice.
At first, I was like, "Oh, she's cool. She's gonna, teach us how to shoot." Oh no! Oh
So
no!
if we're-
Red flag.
If we're gonna go through the story, no, she doesn't want to teach you how to shoot.
She wants
If-
to kill you.
Doesn't want to kill you. She just wants to use you. Target practice.
She's got a
Oh, she's
bazooka
great.
coming.
If we want to go through the story from the beginning to the end, that Makoto discussion has a lot in it.
A lot.
Well, in some ways, so let me ask the question. Is there much people want to say about the Mystery Labyrinth? Because while I agree there's a lot in the Makoto discussion, given the assertion that the middle was just kind of distraction.
Maybe we should
and
wrap that up.
Anyway, wrap
Wrap
it all
that
up.
up.
And then
Yeah.
whoa, that
What
was
just happened?
I was gesticulating and I happened to grab the cord that
great.
is attached
Now
to
we
Maria's
have-
headphones.
Anyway, wrapping up point.
So
If we-
go ahead.
If we're talking about the Mystery Labyrinth, I thought for the longest time it was the tech guy that was the problem. That was the main culprit. And then from there,
The bombs.
yeah, he gave you the bombs, he gave you the cameras, he gave you the wrist. He's clearly involved. But then they did a 180 on me when they introduced that one solution key about the the square
Drain.
hole. Yeah, the drain. Thank you.
So I looked up the height because when I played through it the first time, I'm like, how is this a thing that they didn't just die in impact?
That's the height right there.
Significant.
I believe they said that the roof was 20 meters off the ground.
That's pretty far up.
10 meters is an Olympic high dive. So I think it is physically possible to not die, but
Not looking good.
But very early
This guy's
on,
also awesome.
he's a great swimmer.
Yeah.
Great swimmer early on.
So apparently, I'm like, okay, damn, I guess he is a good swimmer.
So what's funny about the good swimmer thing is, honestly, he was on the top of my list because that hint seemed so out of place. I guess with Servon, like, I feel like what they were going for with Erika, like, is she's messed up and therefore she might kill because she's so disturbed. With Servon, they kind of introduced like him getting bullied in the past, so you could say like maybe a grudge. But for me, like, oh, he's a great swimmer. I'm like, oh, he's the bad guy.
He also looks like a bad guy.
Right.
Well, adding to this whole jumping off the roof thing. So he's jumping off the roof into this water. But how far does he have to swim before he can get air? How would he even know that it wasn't completely full?
In the picture, that he had a rebreather in his mouth.
Oh, okay.
One of the pictures he didn't have goggles on, which bothered me. But the rebreather means that he can he won't drown. Yeah. That's another thing.
So how tall is this building again? And feet?
20 meters?
60 feet.
60 feet.
So okay, so
60 feet. Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So on the Oasis of the Sea, a cruise ship that I went on multiple times, they have a show and they have someone jumping into a pool from 100 feet in the air.
Oh.
So it's completely possible to do this jump. But once again, I'm going to put this out there. You know, Mr. Flick Key underneath a dead body, pushing a nail through a tiny hole with a finger. You have a little bit of a oopsie moment in this type of situation in a like 4x4 square drain.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're dead. And then on top of that, there's also the explosive that's going to go off very shortly.
Exactly.
But you have to make that jump in the mystery labyrinth right here.
That's true. We made the jump. Good point.
No. We were falling, and then we glided our way to a resistance leader.
I was going to say, somehow by hitting square, you magically change your trajectory by about 20 degrees to the...
What, you can't air correct?
I guess it's the mystery labyrinth. You can do anything.
Mario can air correct.
If you were to fall like that, you would not survive.
Okay, so I have a question for all you guys, veterans of these type of games. What's with the spinning of Fubuki? Why does
What do you mean spinning?
She spins in water all the time. Like in this scene, she's spinning down the drain.
I didn't even...
In the river, she spins down the...
gimmick.
Yeah, I think it's just... She's meant to be kind of a really quirky character.
Probably the centripetal force of her clock.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Probably is something like that. No, it probably is, Pete.
No, it could
You
be.
couldn't put it past these guys.
Well, it's funny. As the chapter was going on and we still hadn't seen her forte, Maria said to me, she's like, her last name's Clockford. It's something to do with time. And then I'm like, oh, good point. And then it ended up being...
Rewinding time.
Which is involved in time. Rewinding time. Which is funny because back on the QTEs, even though I was ready for some of them, one or two of them still got me the first time. I think one of the cars hit me. You know, when you're like trying to cross the street.
So there's a jump off the bridge one, and you're supposed to land on top of a van.
Yes.
And I'm like, all right, I got my W and S ready. I'm ready for this. And it turned out to be a D for me instead. And I just landed on my ass by accident. These prompts are so damn fast. But they're so much fun.
But then the next time you know exactly what it's coming and when, and it's super easy. So if you fail, it's like impossible to fail twice.
Or that embarrassing moment that you failed again afterwards.
No. What are you saying, Adam?
I may have done that twice.
So on the Fubuki, what did I do? Oh,
Nothing. I'm just
she's
really
messing with-
enjoying
she's
this.
messing with everyone. So I will say, of all of the partners in the Mystery Labyrinth, including Chapter 0, which is just you and Shinigami, Fubuki was my favorite so far. Because she's just
useless.
a very... But in some ways, she's a very... I don't want to use the word pure character. She is very, like...
Straightforward.
Not, one-dimensional. I actually... I think of like characters like Wamu and like Jojo. Like one-dimensional characters are actually... can be quite enjoyable. And the fact that she was just kind of... she wasn't annoying.
He's not there for helping you out, that's for sure.
Yes, in fact, they made a point of, I can't even use my forte in here.
And the problem is that her forte is really her only strength as a detective. Her reasoning just does not exist.
Right, and she even says that. So, it kind of ends up being that, she's like fascinated by adventure and has like zero acumen for it.
It's funny.
I don't know, there's just something likable about that for me.
One of the points that I made about Fubuki to John, because I made the point as I was going through it, I think that her entire character is first of all, she's a caricature. Okay, we get it. But her entire character is what would happen if you gave somebody the power of rewinding time just to fix everything. You wouldn't remember shit. You wouldn't know what's real. Things would be like that. Things would have less meaning because you just rewind it.
Well, yeah,
That's her.
She also has a problem with the fact that she wasn't with us and couldn't just rewind time. When we were going up the stairs, she's like, I should have been there. I could have fixed this. And she was really distraught about that.
Because it's her one way of dealing with life.
Exactly.
But it's also a burden. Because when you have a power like that, when, in that instance that you just alluded to, right, it actually created the guilt of, oh, well, I have the power to fix it. But she couldn't because she wasn't there.
There's that ditzy character, and I think that that's what you would get unless you're either going to get some kind of person who's drunk with power and insane, or you're going to get that. Those are your two outcomes for somebody who has the power to, in essence, recreate time at their whim.
So during the dungeon, also, she keeps mentioning us as warriors of light.
Hang on.
I
have this pulled up. The labyrinth delving elite bomb diffuser, he who tames the god of darkness, holy great detective warrior of light. So
Yep, that's the final one.
I despise Fubuki, but I will give her that one.
Is it that after the denouement?
Yes, it's right there.
It's right around here.
That's also where she realizes that Shinigami is actually helping you, and there's like a heartfelt moment between the two, where Shinigami acts like a normal human being for once.
That was kind of refreshing.
But
yes,
again, I think that's where, like with the Desuhiko interaction with her, it's just kind of like, he's
scum.
all into her looks, right? And Halara is just kind of, being the super analytical type that she is.
She's too cool for school. So.
Right. Like, so there's
Shinigami was not interested.
Right. There's not much of an interaction. And it's actually the Akuma-chan was their interaction. Like, she's so, like, I don't want to say inhuman, but Halara is so, like, calculating and, like, rigid.
That Shinigami was calling...
That Shinigami, like...
Called her Hell-Ara.
Yeah, but she was kind of, like, freaking her out almost.
Right.
Was the implication, right? Like, whereas here, they were getting on each other's nerves the whole time. And they actually kind of had this moment where they changed. The other ones never had that. Like, I guess Desuhiko kind of had the moment where he, like, was kind of useful.
Yeah, but she still hated his guts.
She still hated his guts, right?
Fubuki being more worried about her calling her, what was it, privileged?
Sheltered as opposed
to everything else.
It's like you can say all kinds of horrible sexual stuff about me, but don't call me sheltered.
Great running gag.
But that's also one of those things where it's like sometimes the truth hurts, right? And she knows she's sheltered, and that's because she has this fascination with adventure. That's where she's kind of like sensitive about it, or self-conscious about it. So again, that's where I think one-dimensional characters, they allow for things like these running gags and other things. I don't know. I enjoyed her way more than I enjoyed the others.
She's definitely better than Desuhiko.
He was cringe to bring along, but Babaku for me was like she realized she was useless, and then she actually stopped being part of the dungeon, which kind of stinks because I was waiting for her to have more of a character growth. But the game even acknowledged that she was useless, and then she stopped saying things and doing things until the very end, which sucks. But
you have to have a character in order for it to grow. That's my problem with Fubuki. So I will acknowledge that for what she is, which is just a string of dumb girl jokes, they handle it pretty well. My grievance is that Danganronpa has done the dumb girl thing, and they've made it work a lot better than this.
Yeah, that's true.
So you go through the other Danganronpa games, and you're just like, we can take this and we can invert it. We could give you a good reason why. And the whole time I was waiting for that to switch. Also, sort of towards Pete's point, if they went towards like she has a complete disconnect with reality, like you only needed like 30 seconds of you see
She's
something
close to it.
You see something's broken in there. You're like, oh, interesting. But they didn't. There's nothing to get.
I think that she's close to it, but she's not there.
So
close to what? Sorry.
Displaying that she just does not get reality, but I think that it's definitely part of her. Things are not right in her head. Sorry.
Well, but again, I think that all is a statement going back to the shelteredness.
You say sheltered, I say the ability to totally change your fate at any moment.
Oh, you're bringing it back to the forte.
So there's an interesting distinction here, whereas we do not know how long she's had a forte.
She implies, though, that the whole family has that capability, so presumably...
One of the most interesting points, though, is there was something about temporal disturbances, and she says, this isn't terribly uncommon for our family. That was probably the most intrigue I had for her character. And so I was more interested in her family, and like if you got like a little bit of a flashback, and this the thing, it's like just give us that little bit, and then that's the whole meal.
There was one comment that made me go, "Oh, that's terrifying about her and her family," is that they have the ability to control all of time. They control time of the whole world. They control events and stuff like that. So why are these not the bad guys? What's going on here?
They're the international timekeepers. They're GMT. No. I have a feeling they're more than that.
So the other thing is they kind of use that running gag of him being the hero of light, which again was tied to her like RPG fascination, right? Like again, if she's sheltered, her only view of adventure
is an adventure game.
Right, or like adventure stories and whatnot. So she kind of has this, like, that is the lens that she has imagined the world through. I don't even want to say seen, because she hasn't seen the world. That's the whole point.
Perfect example is where the ocean is. You know, remember where the ocean is?
In the sky.
No.
The ocean above the clouds. Because that's where all the water comes from.
Yeah, she was talking about her.
With rain.
She's never seen the ocean, right?
She wants to see the ocean above the clouds with you one day.
Also, what's with this fascination of Japan's like Warrior of Light and Warrior of Darkness stuff? This is like the third game that I'm in that I'm like, okay, mentioned Warrior of Darkness, Warrior of Light. Is there something I should know about those titles?
It could
It's
be
just
as simple
Those
as
RPG tropes.
I think it's yin and yang, just
You know-
constantly over again.
it also could be as simple as a reference to Final Fantasy. Don't forget that. Because that is a common trope in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I would say RPG tropes in general, although it could specifically be Final Fantasy, absolutely.
Okay, I didn't know.
Four valiant youths.
Youths. Oh my god, yes.
You remember that?
Final Fantasy 3 voice.
I just wanted to make sure I'm not missing something. key
Eternal
about
Legend of the
title.
Wind.
Eternal Legend of the Wind.
Well, I was watching one anime and they went really specific into yin and yang and its importance in society and the whole idea of the dark within the light and the light within the dark. And I just think that it has a huge cultural influence.
Well, I mean, in that whole the whole interrelationship between light and darkness, that was a big analogy that they used in Danganronpa because it was all like hope and despair, right? Like
but Monokuma,
different sides
same
of the same
thing.
coin type thing.
Monokuma looked like the symbol for yin and yang. Like I think it's actually that concept, not just
Because, I think the hope, despair, light, darkness dichotomy
but
right there.
But if you look at yin and yang, there's dark in the light and there's light in the dark. Just this concept.
Truth and lies.
Yes, all of that.
Things
So
that
I
are in
think-
juxtaposition.
Yes, there you go. I couldn't think of the word I was looking for.
I think Maria's mic isn't working because she sounds distant.
Because Adam pulled it out again. Oh, now you
She's
guys
one-
both are. Oh, no, you're working.
She's the one gesticulating this time.
Ah.
Yeah, she definitely unplugged her mic somehow. Although this
No,
is
it's the cord. The cord's dying. Can you hear me now?
I hear you through Adam's mic.
No. Okay.
Tap on your mic.
there. No, we got it. That's back.
Oh, there it is.
Hey, there you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
You're loud now.
Great.
Hikari no Senshin. The other thing I was going to say about this running gag.
There it
actually
is.
seems to be the one way that they kind of continued on the whole, like, remember we talked about it last time. There's this whole kind of like ongoing like theme / question of are detectives heroes? Is seeking the truth something that a hero does, right? And in some way, the only way that this case or scenario really kind of touched it at all was, in this running gag, there's an implication that, again, a detective is a hero, a warrior of light, that kind of thing. Because they didn't really get in. I don't recall them getting into that any other way. But that definitely seems to be kind of one of those running things. Themes. One of my favorite songs.
Tremolo Horizon.
Tremolo Horizon. Anything else on Fubuki, the Labyrinth, the scenario, the Resistance?
On a personal note, it is nice to see left-handed representation in video games.
Yay! Left-handed gun.
Oh, that's right. Shachi.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been him.
The second I saw Sachi's body, I was like, all right. He's got to be left-handed because the fact that the blood spatter came off from the right-hand side, and that would be the twist of this. And sure enough, I was indeed right.
It's funny. I didn't pick up on the blood splatter, but as soon as they talked about the direction that the revolver opened, I'm like, oh, lefty.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not catch the blood spatter one. Good one.
There was a solution key where Shachi's like waving to the camera with his left hand. It says Shachi's left-handed. The first time I played this, I cheered.
Interesting.
It's not a lot. I don't. It's not like the 50s where they hit me with rulers until I write right-handed. But
You need to be represented once in a while.
it's nice. It's nice.
And he was a nice, lovable person, and oh, he's dead. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's that too. But you take the wins where you can get them.
Yeah. Lefties always die first, you know?
Mm.
Left-handed people.
Shorter lifespans.
Yeah, there you go.
This statement here will be interesting because I still have a suspicion. I mean, it's really just a theory. There's not much evidence that Shinigami is depending on the current Yuma's I'll say, I don't want to say outlook on life. I feel like she is intentionally trying to guide him in a certain way, presumably in a way that he previously agreed to before losing his memories, but in a way that may not be
Good
the
for
way
him.
the current Yuma would want, I'll say.
Right, maybe old Yuma, but not current Yuma.
Right. So it's funny that they talk about this bond of trust because it'll be interesting to see if in the next 2 chapters there's some kind of event that sort of challenges or shatters that from Yuma's perspective. And even though she sees it and observes it, I don't know that I would say Yuma has ever said it or done anything that implies that he feels the same. So this actually was kind of an interesting line too. We were alluding to this conversation before about how
this is reflected also when they offer you a membership of the Resistance. Did you guys choose to join the Resistance or not?
No.
That was actually a real interesting dialogue option that you picked, Sudi, because you did get Shinigami to basically put her foot down on you, which was fascinating.
Exactly. So this conversation that we're seeing right here in your screen was basically she forced me to say no afterwards. I said yes at first.
I did actually pick that. She basically says, "You can't do that. You made a promise to me.
Oh.
If you do that, then you're violating your promise to me, and that means that our contract is null and void."
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting, because it's not see, this is one of those things that would, and I didn't even see that line of dialogue. This is one of those things that would make me think that the existence of the Resistance is actually important beyond just this case.
I'm sure
or
it is.
It could just be a hanging thread too, right? It doesn't have to be.
No, I'm sure it's important.
I don't know.
I'm sure of it.
For posterity, my opinions and thoughts are specific to Chapter 3, and that goes for both the Resistance and Fubuki. So I'm encapsulating myself.
It must be challenging.
I'm having fun with it.
My thoughts is that I think the Resistance is done and over with. Too many leaders are dead or taken captive. I don't think that this story thread is going to go down any further because there's only 2 leaders left.
Anytime you have an old man in a thing, he's important in a Japanese game or anime. This Margula, yeah, he's important.
Think so?
Yep. You heard it from me first.
Now, they did, although, I mean, they did sort of tie a little bit of a bow on the Resistance, though, when at the end they kind of said, basically something along the lines of, hey, sorry, I was trying to rewind here and I'm losing my thoughts.
See, this is what happens when you have the power of rewinding things.
Multitasking, not good. How Icardi basically used the ideal of the Resistance. I don't know, just the way it is valid to use the past tense there, but there was kind of I got an aura of finality to that statement of there was this group and they were trying to do this thing and you kind of just showed up and tried getting greedy and you killed off their leader and now they're done, right? It had that aura to it, whether or not
I feel like
whether or not that's what it was.
The main elements that are going to survive Chapter 3 and come back are the labs that are underneath the flooded area and the conflict that happens with Amaterasu.
Come on, Margaret Law used to work there. Why would they bring that up if it wasn't important?
I'm not saying Margaret Law is going to disappear, but he might. So, I'd like to continue to see him.
See, I had said I refuse right off the bat.
So what's with all the bad guys that have elf ears? This is like the 3rd bad guy that had elf ears.
That's Sprite, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's a type of demon that shows up all the time in animes, and that's what those ears are. I think they're sprites. So that's
Pointy
telling
ears.
you he's a demon. Yeah, the pointy ear means he's a demon. They give it away in the design.
I mean, the teeth in the eyes are a good clue too.
Yeah, yeah.
He looked like the villain out of the group before you heard anything out of him.
Exactly, yeah.
You mean the mascara doesn't do it for you?
Was it mascara? I just thought he had
But
the black
Evil
around
eyes.
his eyes, yeah.
the evil
That was
eyes.
mascara, not-
Is that a lip piercing?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
a lip ring.
Oh,
Dangerous to jump 60 feet with a lip ring.
And what did his outfit say again? His outfit said something too. Identifying the culprit. That's the one I want. Frog, salamander, law on his hat. Just like random words. Sorry. I was playing it. Well, now the words are gone. There we go. I don't think I have anything else about the labyrinth. Or the scenario itself.
This is when I was playing through it the first time. If the honorary Luxter wasn't there before, he's definitely here now. Because you pop out of the mystery labyrinth, and then you're like, "Oh right, this actually didn't help us at all," and you're about to get pummeled into dust, and then out of nowhere, somehow the detectives magically know to swim halfway across a flooded district into a random office building to rescue you at the nick of time.
Well, they had boats.
They explain how though. But they also explain how they knew, right? They said, "Hey, Vivia finally got involved, and when he actually does something, he's really useful." And
he saw you from above.
Saw from above, yes. So
whatever that means.
It means he's a vampire and he can fly. His last name's Twilight, for heaven's sake.
nice.
And he sleeps all the time and wants to die.
Says, if only I could die. Like as soon as and then it implies that he can see Shinigami. I'm like, he's a friggin' vampire. Like that's what they're going for here.
I think Shinigami was contracted with Vivia at some point, and was that previous detective that she mentioned before.
Oh, interesting. I didn't really remember. Like now that you say it, I remember she said that, but
she mentioned that she remembers a somewhat detective that gave her a weird question that made her go like,
These are the worst peacekeepers. Oh my god.
I wish we had more meat with them.
I don't want any more meat with them.
What, you
I just want them to go away.
Be lovely.
These guys I sort of feel bad for them because they were villain of the week, and they just
they
were dragged out. They're like, look, we need to put somebody in the mystery labyrinth for these, and then just left holding the bag.
Dominic full tank.
I was going to say certainly with Dominic though, like whether or not it actually has any significance, I don't know. But with Dominic, you could certainly see, he's some kind of cyborg or something going on, right? So you almost wonder, could there be a relationship there to the research you're interested in? Like clearly the cyborg is its own form of research, whether it's tied to homunculus or whatnot, don't know, right? But I mean, certainly with Dominic, there just his visual design and the fact that he's kind of brainless makes you wonder, is this tied to kind of the overarching stuff that's going on?
Oh, that's right. We were supposed to get more information about the homunculus. And then he died. Shit. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, the chapter ended real damn fast, but we were supposed to learn more about homunculus from him.
from Shachi. Well,
Yeah.
the victim. Yeah. So I mean, part of you wonders if he is tied to that at all. So at least part of me wonders. The other thing that kind of threw me for a loop, or I don't want to say threw me for a loop, but even after understanding the whole scenario, I don't really understand exactly what was up with the whole like 999 wristwatch. You know, like when you but it was like there for Easter egg.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
A definite reference.
But it didn't actually make any sense.
Doesn't matter. It's
Doesn't have
like
to.
an Easter egg.
Still time. Chapter 3's dead. What are we gonna do?
Hey,
So-
quick question for you, John. Is there a classroom mode, so to speak, in this game?
I
hope not.
don't remember if there was one on the Switch. There is Gumshoe Gab. So all of the statues that you go and you pick up if you're running around all over the place, there's basically the equivalent of classroom is that Yuma will have conversations with the individual master detectives, and well, also Chief
Okay.
Yakko, who's not a master detective, but semantics.
Okay.
And so the more of those metal statues that you find will allow you to have further conversations, and it's sort of like the social links, but they're not social links.
Hmm.
There are kind of also like the hidden Monokumas, like functionally.
Well, because we clicked on something, and maybe it was Gumshoe Gab, and it said, "Do not click on this until you finish the game."
Oh no, that's the DLC.
man.
Yeah, so there's more to this after the fact.
Oh, I forgot about the DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh.
DLC is included in this release. So
Oh boy.
Yeah. The
Okay.
so I think each of the 4 master detectives sort of have their own style. So they did the thing that they did with Final Fantasy 15. That it's just like
Don't
here's
say anything,
Ignis,
'cause-
here's
I gotcha. Okay, nothing.
yeah, like
story
there's
related.
in Final Fantasy 15 there is DLC or there was
For all
DLC
his buddies.
planned for Ignis, for Gladiolus, the other people that you go around in the car with.
They baked
Arden
it
and
into the
Kafka.
game and left it out of the game.
Oh really?
Yeah. So there were times where they would go off, shit would happen, and it would just be like they come back with a scar, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
So question about that, because I still haven't played Final Fantasy 15. If and presumably when I actually finally get around to playing that game, does the DLC can you go off on that tangent in the game when that happens or no?
I didn't buy that DLC. I wasn't going to give them money for that.
I was just looking at it last night. I think the version that includes all the DLC, like when it's on sale, is like $15.
Of course it is. It's a 10-year-old game now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I might as well.
I mean, I have the disc, but I might just get that version because I'll have the convenience of it being on my hard drive, and I'll get the DLC. Like I'm basically paying $15 for the DLC.
There are some DLCs that are pretty cool, from what I understand, in that they go off and do some pretty cool stuff. And the Arden DLC, I watched somebody play through that.
Arden's a really good character.
Arden did nothing wrong.
15 and some points is being propped up on his
By Arden.
On his broad, powerful shoulders.
It's true. And that wonderful hat.
I got to play that one of these days.
Can I just say about this scene right here? I'm not feeling it because the guy who died sucked. The case sucked, and he feels sad about it. This is why I'm like,
a person. Of course, he's gonna feel sad.
Yeah, but I'm not. I feel like this should have happened earlier.
Although I'll say
happened earlier.
No,
It
I mean
continues
like
to happen.
It was
No.
out of place because
I mean,
in this one,
because we just went through something way worse than this.
right? And in this one, he was pissed. See, he's like, I
like his.
I didn't give it enough time. He's got the dark forehead. He's pissed, right? Like it almost implies he doesn't mind killing him as much.
Right. So like
he doesn't hesitate going into it this time, right? In this moment, he's pissed, and then he's like, "Okay, let's do this." So then, to be after the fact, being like, "Oh, I had to kill another person."
Yeah, it didn't do it for me.
See, like right there, let's do it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's
but
like-
if I kill someone, I'm gonna have that same effect every time I kill someone.
There's, I think, also some of it, and Snooty, thank God for mocking Yuma in the beginning of this chapter for being a whiny bitch. But Yuma does have the particularly Danganronpa 1 Makoto, where he's just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. I'm just like, you're here. Shut up. There's some of that in this game, and that's that's part and partial for like the genre, and also just Yuma as a character as he's trying to figure things out.
Why
So I
can't
think-
we all just get along? Why does this have to happen?
And no, Maria, you are also right. Yuma is a freaking bitch. He needs to grow out. Like he needs to learn the past 4 episodes. Like John said, like I just went on a tangent at the beginning of this chapter. Like you're so naive about the situation of this dangerous city.
like half the questions that Yuma asked, you're just like, why are you asking this question? Oh my God, I loved every minute of your stream.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You know-
it's like at some point, like, yes, it sucks, but internalize it a little bit and be like, man, can I just get out of this place? Or, instead of just, another person died, I'm so sad. Like, show some anger, show some range. I don't know.
It's one of these things. If you don't want to use the power, then don't use it. Then you die. There's your choice.
Right. And again, even this time, he was more willing to go in to the labyrinth.
Yeah.
Like they're cornered in that office. Like that's why this scene
It
should be changing him.
seems a little more out of place.
Yes, that's precisely what I'm trying to get at, Pete. Something
It should be changing him. Exactly. He should be becoming a stone cold killer.
Yeah,
Anytime you kill someone, it kills a part of you too.
right.
He's choosing this. It's not something he's not choosing.
Right now, if he was sitting here like,
But it's
I killed another person. I guess this is just what I do now. Just something. Give me something.
But then look at what they chose to highlight in this line. What any human would do. Right? So to the extent that he's thinking of himself as inhuman and
Yeah, just
a killer, she's trying to convince him that anyone would have done the same.
So I looked back at what I had written, John, right at the end of when I did this. I wrote, Chapter 3 had a very short, very obvious mystery dungeon. The apparent suicide was obvious from the moment it happened, with the gun being on the wrong side. And the only way to leave was a dive, which left one person.
That is excellent. That was written
It is.
excellently, Pete.
I honestly thought that the explosion would have opened up a hole for the person that did the killing to jump through.
Us
and
too. We thought that too.
That's why I thought it was 100% the tech guy the whole entire time.
The
And then
end of what I wrote was good too. The floating safe was the motive. I guess they had to make it short after all that bomb stuff earlier.
The bomb stuff did take a lot of time. I was not a fan of that.
Yeah.
It felt very fetch questy. Oh, go place this bomb. Go place this bomb. No, go place this bomb.
And now go and stop all
And
the
then
bombs.
go deactivate
One
this
by
bomb.
one.
Deactivate
Exactly.
this bomb.
Okay. Hey guys, how was the puzzle for all of you?
Oh yes, this is the conversation we need to have, and I will own
The
up
bomb
to that.
puzzle?
The bomb
Yeah,
puzzles, yes.
Oh, I love them.
All right.
Go on.
They're IQ test puzzles, basically.
The third one's the one that I just didn't have enough time. I ended on the third one. It's like I know what they're going for. I don't have time to visualize it, so I picked one of the two, and I picked the color inverse of the right answer. And I was like, ugh.
I was proud because I actually was it the first one right?
The second one.
The second one, like instantly, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Which one was the second one? The arrow one?
The arrows, yeah.
I blew up 5 times for that one.
I think Adam.
Aren't there only 4 choices?
Yeah, you probably forgot.
Thank you very
Oh, there's
much.
6. Okay. I don't remember. No,
I did not realize it was like up.
He
for
chose the same one
arrow.
twice.
Oh yeah.
What's funny about that one is Maria got, like she said, Maria got it so quickly that I was like, oh, now I see it. So I couldn't unsee it, and so I don't know if I would have gotten it or not. But she saw it so quick.
I was trying to spell out a word for the longest time.
What's funny about it is when Maria got it, it was just based on the letters. Like she's like, after she got it and I picked it, she's like, "What were those pictures?" I'm like, "They were arrows."
Oh yeah, it was
down, left, right.
It wasn't even that I saw the arrows; I saw
She
the
didn't
letters.
see the arrows, but she was all over it.
Very
The
nice.
best part is, I was like falling asleep, and I woke up and I saw it. I'm like, "Oh, I know this one. Okay, this is the answer." Okay, then I went back to sleep.
Yeah, it probably woke you up because the nice calm music went to like the dun 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 dun.
The music always makes me fall asleep. It's just so chill.
But we always play at night too. So.
Yeah.
Did random things that happened during the chapter? Did you guys eat a meat bun?
I ate a meat bun.
I ate a meat bun. I got the achievement as well.
I don't think we actually did.
Ate it, meat.
Yum yum yum.
If you go, if you go to one of the meat bun stalls on
Which
your
is
own
directly next to one of the places you have to plant one of the cameras.
Is it in the business district?
It's in the crap district.
There's one by the hotel.
Yeah. Oh, there's that one too. I ate one in the crap district.
There are multiple meat bun stalls.
Yep.
Everybody likes them.
No, I don't think I got. I don't think I did that.
Hopefully you'll still be able to do that in chapter 4. I don't know.
Achievement.
It must be one of the hidden ones.
Maybe.
Soy and green.
I
I
think
hope they don't go there.
Soylent Fuchsia.
to slightly bring it back to the bomb puzzles. How did you all do with the one that you have to make the cube?
I picked the color inverse of it the first time, so the second time I got it.
I don't
said the
remember
final
having
one.
any problems with the bomb puzzles.
Oh, me? Okay.
Well, the second one I never understood. I was overthinking it. I thought that the arrows, because you couldn't see the whole arrow, I thought it was some sort of like a wave function, or the like symbols representing letters. And so like, oh, if it's a U, then maybe it's this kind of a pattern. So then it's like it's round on the bottom, and then I'm just like, okay, so now here's a different shape. And so I'm trying to like overthinking the absolute hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen these things way too many times. That's the problem.
That is actually it. Like, if you've seen the pattern enough times, it just kind of triggers you. I think I was just playing Virtue's Last Reward just maybe about a month ago, and there was some puzzle that was similar, and that's why I got it so quick.
I actually used my stream to cheat a little bit by rewinding a little bit back so I could look at the puzzle piece for the third one and be like, all right, so if I fold it here and I fold it over there and I fold it there. And so I managed to get the right answer by spending like 3 minutes with looking at my back stream going, all right, so you fold it up like this. It gives you this type of triangle. Okay, then you do this.
You can ignore me. I'm looking for something specific.
That's all right.
Because I did go very little bit into chapter 4, and there was an implication of something. There was an implication of something. So I'm just looking for that. So feel free to keep talking and ignore the
I
fact
really
that-
liked her during these scenes, though. Like, she seemed to like actually be learning and be getting better during this part.
Well, I mean, she certainly is, because she's never been out of the,
Clockford Estate.
Also,
Rockford Estate.
did you
I
like
was gonna
the
say
fact that
palace,
she?
But it's not a palace.
Did you like how she hid by hiding, like taking 2 sticks and putting it in front of her face?
That was silly.
I don't even remember that.
That's funny.
It was one of the prompts, and then you had to hide. You hid behind like a steel barrel. Well, or the she hid behind a steel barrel with some like twigs in front of her face.
It's functional. And it worked.
Okay, so yeah, this side quest about the
This is what I was looking for.
Oh, the person who runs away from you? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys remember seeing that person before?
Yep.
So I only remember because when we finished chapter 3, I decided I was going to kill some time, so I went back and got some of the SSs that I didn't either get or save. And at the end of chapter 0, I'm pulling it up. Give me time. It's accessing the directory. Mystery Labyrinth conclusion. Demon. Maybe I have it in the prologue, or maybe I didn't save it.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Here I was thinking I had a super comprehensive. Okay, good. It's here. So after you get chapter 0. So after you leave, that last train car comes up. Remember one left behind where you started from?
Oh, and there's that same person.
Right, that hooded figure.
Yep. Huh. So another master detective, maybe.
Maybe it's number 1.
I am number 1.
I actually think you are visually who you are is, well, I don't think.
Oh,
it is possible that you are Kurumi's grandfather. The right age. I'm trying to think. Remember she said her grandfather disappeared? That's the only theory I have on who that individual is.
I'm 100% convinced after that discussion with Makoto and the scene at the end of the last chapter that Yuma is number 1.
It is certainly possible. So let me go down a theory I had on this front, though. So remember in the discussion with Makoto, when you're leaving, he says, I thought it would be more emotional. Something along that line.
I thought it would be more ... Also, he mentions, tell number 1 that his son says hi, basically, something like that.
Your son needs help.
I thought there would be more emotion. Yeah, something like that.
So, go ahead.
So, did anybody notice that the only person who really shares a build, like physical build with Yuma, is Makoto?
Yes, I definitely, and it hits you at the end of the chapter when they're running through Kanai Ward.
They basically look like the same person.
Well, so that's my possibly
one of them has longer hair.
Theory. So my possibly revised theory, like certainly there is a relationship to number 1, like 100%. One of the theories I have now is that they are both fractured persona of number 1, and Yuma was placed inside of a homunculus, possibly Makoto as well, because remember, homunculus actually means a person of diminutive stature.
No, I thought they mentioned that
what the
homunculus
means.
I thought homunculus meant like internal. Like they said something like in the very beginning of the chapter 3 when you speak with the resistance at the very beginning, he confirms that it's like
So there's 2 things that come together for me. One of them you guys mentioned previously, and it's very true. Yuma's blood is red. Other people's blood are purple. There's something different about Yuma.
He's a homunculus.
Or, and this would be potentially, I hate to be right about this, maybe everybody else is. Maybe that's the big secret of Kanai Ward.
Oh, everyone's a homunculus. Interesting. I didn't think of that one, but that is a possibility.
And that's why nobody comes in, nobody goes out.
Interesting, though, because they're, I mean, like, Icardi definitely, so this is relevant to case 3. when he starts to divulge a little bit about why he did it, he's like, I just had to get out of here. Like, nobody can get out of here. I just wanted money so that I could live outside of this city. I got to get out of this place.
Nobody can get out. Nobody can get in. Why are they being quarantined or somehow kept in there, kept away from everyone else?
So the definition of a homunculus, according to the American Heritage
The dwarf in the bottle.
Diminutive human, a little man, a dwarf, a mannequin. Notice Yuma and Makoto, as you mentioned, are of similar stature, and which is also smaller than everybody else.
Much smaller.
So that is why I started wondering if somehow number one like fractured his personality and placed it into two different homunculus. And and Makoto knows because of his research and being the CEO and whatnot. And that's why he thought there would be more emotion involved, because it was actually the other side of himself.
Also, Makoto didn't sell away his memories, whereas Yuma has. Maybe Yuma did know.
Well, again, I think that is potentially tied to Shinigami some. Like,
Of course it is.
Like, I strongly have the feeling she is meant to be a guide, quote unquote, to ensure he does the right thing.
Number one Yuma / who I think is number one did it for a reason.
Now, notice there is a third person with diminutive stature. The hooded figure I just showed.
Yeah. I know nothing about that person. Do you wind up seeing this person at the beginning of chapter 4?
You do, but it's the only thing that's... They just make a point. This happens within the first 5 minutes. They make a point of saying, oh yeah, I saw him a day ago or so talking about chapter 3. It turns out that, like I said, I had forgot you ran into him in chapter 3, but I had just done chapter 0, getting the SS, saw that scene,
and that
went back
triggered.
And then I went back to the beginning of chapter 4 where they run into him. And then they were like, oh, we saw him the other day. And that's why I was looking for it. So my theory of, these being homunculus that are all kind of somehow housing number one, right? That could be a third part of number one, so to speak, or the real number one. Because if you start getting into things like fracturing of persona and placing it inside of puppets, right? You kind of get into is it just a part, or are they like a fake copy? Is it like a Cloud Sephiroth type thing, or a Cloud Zack type thing? Like, what is it, right? You start to question, I'll say, the rules of the world, but you don't have enough information to infer the rules of the world yet. So you just start.
Which is super funny. Here's something that I had written to John when I finished chapter 3. Wouldn't it be a true great secret if everyone in Kanai Ward was a homunculus? It's either that or Yuma is, but I think these writers we can trust enough to go the opposite direction. And then I said, I haven't seen Detective Blood yet. Maybe some will show up to contrast this observation on the blood. And then John responded, we need more characters to bleed for science.
Nice. So when you say Yuma has red blood, you're talking about in the labyrinth, right? Every time you get a question
and outside the labyrinth. And nobody else.
Bleed outside the labyrinth.
Chapter 0.
Remember.
He smeared his blood on the lock, and that was the key to prove that they had not changed the rail cars.
Yes.
We didn't see anybody's blood other than him in chapter 0, because people didn't die by bloody means. They died by poisoning. Yeah. And burning.
Burning
and poison.
Yeah, the drugging didn't kill them. That just made them ripe for the burning.
Yeah, so the only blood that we've seen other than people who've died in Kanai Ward is Yuma's. For what it's worth.
That is very interesting. Because that's one of those meta things they can play with too, because if you've played Dangan where it's just the stylus.
It's purple. Exactly. It's
Right.
magenta. It's fuchsia.
Right, they can totally play with people's. Because Dangan did that between games, right? It played with your expectations from one game to the next. So I could certainly see them. I could certainly see that being relevant. That is an excellent point that I did not pick up on.
And that is why I can see them using it, because that's a great twist for them to use, because we're all expecting something. I mean, Studi's not necessarily expecting, but we told him to expect it because of what we saw in the other games, which is unfair. We told him, oh yeah, that's just the color they make the blood in these games, Snooty. But he's the one who had that observation of the fact that the bloods were 2 different colors. Right? You're the one who had that observation several weeks ago, right?
Excellent.
I think you were.
Yesterday.
Take
Wow.
credit, damn it. You did.
Well done, Snooty.
Well done, Snooty.
The whole time.
I think so. We'll find out soon.
Yeah. Very interesting. I mean, that's certainly... It's funny because when I started going on to this whole Yuma being a homunculus thing, based on his stature, based on him being the same size as Makoto, it really... I saw it as an evolution rather than a change in my theory of him being number 1. Right? Like, I just fused those 2 ideas together, like him being a homunculus and him being number 1. Like,
They're not necessarily...
both at the same time.
Yep.
there you go. That's what I came up with.
We also don't know what homunculi are, really. Necessarily, they've not defined any of this stuff yet. So hopefully
However,
that'll be defined soon.
I also have to say, I can't help but feel that I'm somewhat influenced by the fact that we very recently played Valkyrie Profile and Lazard and the whole homunculus thing, right? Like, it was meant to be a vessel for the gods there, but right, this idea of implanting persons...
And a number of us have knowledge of Full Metal Alchemist, There's all this homunculus in other media that we might know of.
Correct. But again, that's all stuff that they take for granted and play with too, right?
Of course.
It could go either way. You don't
It could be opposite.
Following the trope, or they could do the opposite, exactly.
And these people are the people who like to do the opposite.
I'll say this. I don't think we have enough information to know exactly what's going on.
No, of course not.
There's just little piece parts here and there.
Which is what the discussions with Makoto really, in my opinion, were mostly relevant for.
Yeah, I mean, they had the whole thing about the power struggle, right? There was the power struggle internal. That seemed to be the main thing they were trying to introduce, aside from kind of that offhand comment of, I thought there would be more emotion.
And he's looking to have you detectives, save them all, in essence.
Yeah, because
you're the wild card.
It's a delicate process of you actually have to show proof of why the peacekeepers need to be disbanded. It's not just like I could just disband them. Like you said, if he did that, he'll be outed out instead of the peacekeepers, and peacekeepers win. He needs to carefully and put everything together as a big, like what the resistance wanted to do. Build up the evidence to show that the peacekeepers are the peacekeepers that they are, and then from there, reveal it to the corporation to then out them out.
I mean, all they have to do is take, evidence of Yomi turning people into meat cubes.
Is it meat, though?
People are made of meat.
It is
by
for
definition.
Electra.
Yeah. I mean, well, he just implies that she'll be highly compressed.
Did anyone else look at his belt to see if there's a cube or a meat cube there? I did.
That'd be a great touch if they did it.
There's no meat cube to report.
How sad.
It could be underneath that
Under
cloak.
the cloak. It's under the cloak.
He's keeping it closer to him.
Yeah, it's on the left side. It's like Ezio's hidden blade. It's just underneath the cloak.
I never played those games.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Assassin's Creed.
I'm so excited for Vivia and to learn more about Vivia.
Well, it's funny. You know how I said the whole vampire thing? She like says it outright. So whether or not she's joking or or just like figurative, or he actually is a vampire, right? But he always talks about not wanting to die. He saw it from above.
My immediate thought was not vampire, despite his, the way he acts and everything. My immediate thought was like remote projected viewing.
I think so, yeah.
At this point, when I was playing through it the first time, I think I got caught up on the fact that he was reading a book on birds. I thought that he like an actual. He said bird's eye view, so I was just like, oh, he turns into a bird or something.
Could also be.
At this point, when I first played through it, that was my thought process.
Mind visioning. Being able to see through another thing's eyes, like a bird or a bat.
See, I went all on vampire and just assumed he uses some kind of.
He's Alucard.
That's more like sonar or something like that.
Maybe a dream state where he's able to, I don't know.
That would be appropriate since he's always sleeping.
Exactly.
What? Well, it's funny because the whole Twilight thing. Remember, I said vampire Twilight, but that could allude to his penchant for sleeping as well.
Vivia seems interesting. But I think that they've built Vivia up to seem interesting by not giving you much about Vivia at all.
I want to die someday.
Oh, who doesn't?
Well, but there's this, right?
So did anyone else think it was lazy that we got the submarine back in like perfect condition, like nothing happened?
I feel like that's totally tongue in cheek.
Oh yeah,
I love that. Sorry,
tongue so firmly placed in cheek, it is piercing through, and
it's in the same condition it was in. It's not in perfect condition. It's lived in again.
Yeah, also when I saw there in the back, all the notes are taped to the wall. I'm just like, okay, buddy, nice sitcom there. I let them have that one.
This is the same.
Oh yeah,
where it implies that he can see her.
Yeah, which makes me feel like Vivia was a previous contractor with the Shinigami.
That's a great theory. I did not. But I assumed it had something to do with him being, like, if he's a vampire, right? He's close to. He's got like this supernatural affiliation.
He's close to death.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. That could be it. Also, he is always so close to death that he is very close to the Shinigami that way. Yeah, that makes sense.
Depends on what that forte is, right? Which we'll find out real soon.
Given that our last lead was a bust.
Also, is anyone really disappointed that the detectives are just perfectly fine because they went back to the headquarters that we first were at?
Actually, keep going, sorry.
That they never mentioned to you. I love that.
But they mentioned it to Fabaku, but of course
that was the point.
She couldn't remember it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that is something that makes perfect sense. It's just like, of course.
That's clever.
Yeah, I was like, okay, damn it. Okay, she gets another one out of me. Fine.
That was very clever. Like why she was the only one who didn't rendezvous. But I will say this: I saw that actually as a veiled hint that Yako is somehow in on the guiding of Yuma as well. Like. They didn't meet each other for the first time here. I mean, maybe if it's like a homunculus per my earlier theory, like that body's the first time he saw it, right? But Yako knows Yuma's former self because he even says like, oh, didn't I tell you about it? It's almost like he assumed he would know because he knows his past. And it's like, oh crap, I forgot to tell him the rendezvous point because I assumed he would know. So I actually took that to be a veiled hint at the fact that they knew each other.
No, I think I take it the complete opposite way, in that he's just a terrible boss, which kind of is.
Doing his best.
Yeah, You had to have worked for terrible bosses to understand that one.
Nah, usually throwaway lines like that actually mean something, I feel like.
No, he 100% forgot us to tell us about the random viewpoint.
Well, I mean, it ended up being the building, right? I think they said it's the building.
Yeah, that you were on the top of.
Yeah. So again, he just never mentioned that, oh, this is a rendezvous in an emergency. Like, he showed him the location.
We have an office in this building, by the way. We just never use it because we have this cool sub.
Right, because we got relegated to the subs. I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll see. Maybe I'm just colored by the fact that I think they know each other, or Yako knows him, and therefore I'm finding what I'm looking for, whether it's there or not. Because that is certainly a phenomena.
Have we talked about the side quests yet?
No. The one with the group of people with the red rain.
There's always
oh
one
my
silly
lord.
one serious one, and one creepy as hell one.
This is the creepy one?
I love the red rain one.
Oh,
the other two were just like, whatever.
I think it was just here to be creepy, though. Like,
yeah, this was the creepy one, and then
I don't know, man. This is this could be something.
Nah, I feel like it would have been part of the main story if it was something. I feel like it's just a throwaway creepy thing.
I'm thinking that maybe it, like, when you complete all the side quests, the Crimson Red rating will be like a big thing at the end. That's the feeling I get. It's like the final side quests, like because the same raincoat guy, once you complete the teacher one, is there also.
So I will say this. Oh, that's a good point. That's interesting. What I was going to say is, one of the things I did so as to not proceed further into chapter 4, but make it so that I can just jump right in once we have this meeting, was I went and did the requests, and after I did it, the trophy popped for having done all the requests. So that means there must be none in chapter 5.
Oh boy. None in chapter 5, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, my theory about the Crimson Red Rain went out the window then. Woohoo!
Yeah, I did the 4 in chapter 4 and the trophy popped. And I won't say anything about them, what they're...
Oh, there's 4 of them?
There's 4 in every chapter so far.
Is that really?
No, it's 3. It was the teacher, the Crimson Red, and then from there, the
go around and survey.
Oh, and the go around and survey. So yeah, 4.
That is 4, yeah. I forgot about the lovers. No, I remember that one.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Yeah, my bad.
The teacher. Yeah, that was a good one.
See? Same raincoat.
Interesting.
Creepy.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, even though they were in the same chapter.
Did you all get the musical teacher as the guest? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That was quite obvious.
I actually went and did some of the alternate intros too to see like if this mattered. It didn't.
It was your twin.
Yeah, in one of them he's like, that was too close to the truth. I forget.
That's the one that I picked, whichever one it was.
That's the first one I picked too.
Rah 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 rah.
I don't know. That's that my dude. My son grabs a dinosaur. He comes around and roars the whole time. What he said.
My daughter has a puppet dinosaur. She comes up to me when I'm like taking a nap on the couch, and she just starts tickling me, and starts biting me with the puppet. And she goes, ah, rah, 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 rah.
Yep, Buddy loves that dinosaur and making noise. Sounds like he's grunting. He's like trying to
roar.
He's trying to roar, but it sounds more like he's grunting. It's like, dude. So yeah, the requests. I don't know. I feel like they didn't do that much for me in this chapter. I guess they did have the couple of the creepy ones with the guys with the raincoats.
So, does it all wind up to be anything or not really? As I'm okay to learn that.
What?
Whether after you've done all the requests, it winds up to be anything.
I will say this. All the requests in Chapter 4 more or less revolve around the other detectives.
Okay.
So
It's also there will be a follow up on somebody from a previous chapter. So when you're in chapter 2, you hung out with the nun.
Okay.
And then in chapter 3, right here, you go and you talk to the teacher who does Hiko impersonated.
Yep.
So there's something like that, and so they use that as sort of you're wondering about a loose end, they'll tie it up for you, and then it's also some of the world building, and then there's like what Sudi said is pretty perfect. There's a spooky one, there's a silly one, there's a wholesome one. Yeah, the kid ghost stories, the Crimson Rain cults.
Yeah, it definitely seems to follow a structure,
formula.
so to speak.
Yeah.
A formula. So there was this. They introduced this secret lab thing. That's what Vivia found when he was
I like that
above.
Kuruma, if that's how you pronounce her name.
Kudumi.
Kudumi, yeah, that she's now integrated with us now. Not as like a romance type of deal, but like,
she's part of the detective cult.
That she's actually a very useful informant. She does bring good information in. Here comes the creepy scene.
Now that line seems to be contradictory to the idea that he was a previous contractor.
Whoa. Also, the translation of that is different than what he said, seemingly. I mean,
what?
Go back. He mentioned Shinigami, which means death god. Whereas what's on the screen has nothing to... He does not say the word death god. Right?
No, I think Shinigami no Sho is like, that's the book of death in Japanese.
Oh, okay.
Box cutter. What would have been funny is after I must do something. After that, he like uses it to like cut off, like he has all those tape around him or whatever, like the bandage look.
That's his whole outfit.
Yeah, his shirt is just bandages. He doesn't actually wear.
His shirt is just bandages. Yeah. So, anyway.
Also, it's interesting that he says that it could destroy this ward or even the whole world. And if you take into account what Shinigami does in terms of punishing people who are creating a mystery labyrinth, what does that mean? What's the implication? Are mystery labyrinths only arise from a murder?
So far, yes.
And if they only arise from a murder, then how could that destroy this ward? Or the whole ward, kill the whole ward, or kill the world? Think about it.
You are probably right.
It's me. I mean, well, wait a second. You are probably right. It's me.
I did not put that together, but you are probably right. The last mystery labyrinth is probably going to not be a murder, but instead, what is the ultimate secret?
It has to
And
be.
And the implication being what happens for the reaping. Right. That's
Exactly.
what you're getting at, right? It's like if the essence of the mystery were not a murder, but instead something else, is the reaping still the same? Or is the reaping commensurate with the crime?
So during this chapter, the Shinigami was going, I can't smell any corpses here. I can't smell any corpses here. I wonder if these are Muklai or corpses, and that once she gets a good smell of them, we'll be able to determine that, or they're just never become corpses.
Well, I mean,
you know where they're going.
Well,
Ew.
yeah, there's that. But remember, there was also that scene in the prologue where there were kind of like the zombies hanging out outside, right? Like, remember when you first show up in Kanai where she says something about like, "Oh, I love the smell of this place. I can smell so many corpses."
Oh,
right?
yep, there you go.
You can easily interpret that as being, oh, people are dying all the time here. However, you can also interpret that as the dead are walking here, and I love the smell of it. Right?
Thank you for confirming my suspicion. Thank you.
We're gonna find out.
What suspicion did I confirm? Sorry.
that the place that all the Homunculus are dead bodies.
Well, I don't know. They may or may not be.
But then we've been going to locations that don't have dead bodies, and you can't smell them. So they're not all over the place, but they are concentrated in certain locations.
Well, it's funny you are bringing up that specific thing because literally in the first conversation of chapter 4, a topic gets brought. I'm talking first scene. Like if I were to play this video that of chapter 4, it would be 1 minute in. They start talking about how there is a kind of off limits place on the outskirts of the town where,
assumedly, that place that you pointed out.
It is rumored that that's where all the dead bodies go.
Assumedly, that place that you had pointed out that we saw in that the teaser opening video, right? Remember, you had pointed that out last time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly it being on the outskirts could be commensurate with
the people who zombies, and then you could see the tower in the distance, right?
Right. I was going to say the tower being in the distance.
That would have to be in the outskirts.
Would be in the outskirts. That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, this game is definitely gearing up to get into the real meat.
Yes, absolutely.
It's funny that I say that with the meat puns.
I'm gonna be annoyed if that's what they're going for.
Oh, it's what they're. Dude, they're definitely going for it. The Soylent system from Xenogears, it's all happening again.
Yeah, see, it's way off in the distance.
It looks like a sacrificial figure. It looks like a head and arms sticking out. I mean, from this perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a giant cross.
Jesus, a hug.
I didn't want to go that far.
Dude, I'm not. So anyway,
appreciate the helping abridged reference, by the way.
So,
also the Bitches Love Cannons one from your stream.
Yes. Before she became the biggest red flag, I was like, oh man, I want to be not disrespectful, but bitches love cannons.
Oh, you're talking about the gun girl.
Yeah, and then she became a walking red flag. I'm like, oh no.
You don't want to be target practice? I mean, come on.
I don't. What a great game. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to get better soon.
Sure.
So anything else to discuss before?
I think we've hit it.
Chapter 4. So do you want me to play the intro to chapter 4 to get the the theories going. You know how there's like a monologue at the beginning of every chapter?
Sure.
Yeah.
I could play that. So literally,
let's
when
do
you
it.
load your file, this is what you'll get. So something from the past.
Ah.
Once again, it's one of those stories where the past has a implication on the present.
It always does.
世界の終わりが訪れる。信じていた世界の
The Imperfect Insider. Yeah, so I've only gotten like 10 minutes. That video
Into the
is 10
story, and then you're that free that early on to do all the side quests.
Yeah, right off the rip.
That's a lot different than some of the other chapters. That's good.
Yeah, right off the rip, and like I said, I did all the requests right off the bat. So, what do you want to shoot for
2 weeks again.
in terms of timing?
March
Doesn't
2nd
matter.
is 2 weeks.
What's that? What about
March
2 weeks?
2nd is 2 weeks from today.
So, if possible, I would like to shoot for that only because Lent starts the following Wednesday. So, getting as far as we can before Lent would be good because that'll probably slow us down a little bit.
Works for me. Also, if you need to keep going, keep going. As long as
I
you can
may.
remember.
I may, although that will be very interesting in terms of how it cuts off on chapter 4. Because as you observed, I think we're really starting to get into the
Meat.
heart. The heart.
Meat.
I avoided meat intentionally.
They didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. That's all I got.
That's it. Until next time, that'll be part 5 and chapter 4 in a couple of weeks, potentially.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Maria? Does Maria have anything else?
Just wanted to say it was wonderful meeting with you, gentlemen.
Ah! All right.
So wonderful she left halfway through. No.
I was listening.
Very good. That somehow actually there were some times where I was like echoing the essence of what people said for Maria's edification.
Okay, good. All right. I didn't know.
If you were wondering why I was like repeating your theory out loud.
That's why.
I see.
Wonderful job in the background.
Yeah, it's much cleaner than it was 25 minutes ago. We have company coming over tomorrow. I'll be at work.
In the morning, so.
Even though I work for a government contractor, they don't care about dead presidents' birthdays.
How sad.
Washington's birthday? Pff, who cares?
Lincoln's birthday?
I have the holiday tomorrow, but I will be working also. A couple of sites for state police went down, so I have to get them back online tomorrow.
The weather, probably, right?
So there's this. I'll say off stream. I mean, off the.
All right, hold on. 3, 2, 1. We are done.